What is happening, everybody? Trey here, joined as always by my dad, Sean, and I got a really great record up today to review. We got Joni Mitchell's Blue. This comes courtesy of a suggestion from our patron, Osmond. Thank you, Osmond.
Really, thank you, Osmond. Great choice out of the gate.
Oh, yeah, really looking forward to diving into this track by track. I was only familiar with, I think, one song on this.
Me too.
So this was a fun one, and as we'll get to, very acclaimed. Before we get into the quick facts and the track-by-track review, though, if you would help us out by giving us a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, consider hitting that big red subscribe button. We upload every day, whether it be song reactions or reviews or top 10 list.
Or Friday Night Live stream.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff here, and you can also get in the community with our social media, especially our Facebook group that's down below, and we also have a podcast that drops every Friday as well. And if you want, you could support us on Patreon, just like our guy Osmond, for as little as how much?
$1 a month gives you early access and some cool perks, and there's a lot of other stuff we can do for you as well, so check that out. But Trey, let's dive into the quick facts. Fourth studio album for Joni, because back then artists turned out albums like there were nothing, man. One a year, usually sometimes more.
Oh, and I will just interject, we have reviewed Court and Spark, so
Yes,
after this, if you want to check that out,
Yes,
which is another lovely record as well.
You are correct. So this is released in June of 1971. It went to 3 in the UK, 9 in Canada, 15 in the US. This is number 30 on the Rolling Stones Top 500 Albums of All Time, the highest entry by a female artist, and in 2017, NPR picked this as the greatest album ever by a female artist. So as you said, highly acclaimed is an understatement. And this explores the various facets of a relationship, from infatuation to insecurity. The songs are very simple accompaniment-wise, instrumentally, piano, guitar, and an Appalachian dulcimer. Despite the success of her first 3 albums in January 1970, Joni made a decision to break from performing. In early spring of that year, she went to Europe. She was on the island of Crete. She wrote some of the songs that appear on this album. This journey was the backdrop for the songs Carey in California. Carey was inspired by a relationship he had with an American or Canadian, I've seen it both ways, I couldn't confirm, named Carey Raditz, who was a, quote, the redneck on a Grecian isle in the song California. Some of the songs on Blue are inspired by a relationship with Graham Nash.
That's
right. Relationship with him from 68 to 70, and then it was while she was on vacation in Crete that she sent him, this is how we did it back in the day, guys. Well, I didn't, this predates me, but sent him a telegram telling him it was over. So
that's tough.
I don't know if
She's
that's
on vacation, you know, you're just
and that's delivered by, so that's probably even worse than getting the text that it's over, but that's how she did that. The songs My Old Man and River are thought to be inspired by their relationship. Then she had a relationship with James Taylor that started in the summer of 1970, visiting him on the set of the movie Two-Lane Blacktop, which is referred to in This Flight Tonight. The songs Blue and All I Want have specific references to Taylor, such as the sweater she knitted for him and, of course, his heroin addiction. They were very much in love during this time. Even with his issues, she kind of thought he was the one. But then his career blows up in early 1971. That caused friction. They ended up breaking up, which she was supposedly devastated over. When you look at her relationships, romantic relationships, she was with several of these heavy hitters like Graham Nash. She goes to James Taylor, and there are a few others.
Had a lot to draw from for this record, and interestingly enough, this album was ready to go in early '71, and it actually had a different track list. There were 3 songs on there that she'd previously recorded that hadn't appeared anywhere, and she was like, "Oh, let's go here." But she removed 2 of the 3, and then added "All I Want," which is the opener, and then the Last Time I Saw Richard, which is the closer. So kind of unique that the opener and closer almost weren't on this record. And then she ended up keeping Little Green, which was composed in 1967. The 2 songs that were removed were Urge for Going and then Hunter, the Good Samaritan. And just a little quote from Joni herself here from 1979. She said, "The Blue Album, there's hardly a dishonest note in the vocals. At that period of my life, I had no personal defenses. I felt like a cellophane wrapper on a pack of cigarettes. I felt like I had absolutely no secrets from the world, and I couldn't pretend in my life to be strong or to be happy. But the advantage of it in the music was that there was no defenses there either." So that's really, this whole record, the title itself, Blue, very melancholy, very, heartfelt, kind of gets to the heart of relationships in a variety of different states in particular. But all that to say, it's time to jump in. All I Want, opening track.
Yeah, and she told the LA Times interview, she goes, I don't really know what to say about it. It's a little more up-tempo than some of my early stuff. She goes, but I don't really have much to say about it. As you have on a few of these tracks, you have James Taylor on guitar, which is a fantastic a fantastic
Plays
thing.
great.
The lyrics appear to be about she's in a somewhat toxic relationship, yet she still wants it to work out.
Yeah, from the first verse, she gets to the meat of the relationships. I hate you some, I love you some. Oh, I love you when I forget about me. So many emotions packed into the 3.5-minute tune, and ultimately climaxes with her shrill anthem, I want to make you feel free. I note this sometimes, but I really love the fact when the openers kind of set the themes of the record and the sound. You had, as you mentioned, Taylor's wonderful kind of guitar plucking style there, and just Joni's strong vocals coming in, and great lyricism. So I really enjoyed this as an opener.
Yeah, and that takes us to My Old Man, which I mentioned at the start. Most likely about Graham Nash. One of the lines there's basically saying, we don't need a piece of paper from City Hall.
That's right.
So we don't need to go get married because we're in this to win it. Unless, of course, I send you a telegram or break up. Well, that part's not in there. But one of the interesting things on this song, this whole album, lyrically, there's a pretty good theme throughout. But musically, like you mentioned, the great acoustic from Taylor on the last one, this one switched totally to a piano.
That's right, yeah.
So you're going to get that big difference, which shows versatility in the fact that, that Joni can write those that go on each one of those tracks. For me, this song was just okay. I didn't think it was great, but I did like the difference instrumentally in it.
No, yeah, I thought this was a good tune, and again, an interesting subject matter. I like the fact that she notes that now her bed's kind of too big, her pan is too big, because all these kind of mundane things, from eating or cooking to sleeping, it's all made better whenever she's with her lover, man. And whenever he's gone, stuff in life just isn't as fun, or it doesn't hit as hard as it used to. So I thought that was a great angle that she took on there, and you already kind of mentioned the musical arrangement, so we'll keep rocking now to track number 3.
Little Green. It's the one that she wrote that you mentioned at the start. She wrote it in 1966 about a highly personal situation. She ended up getting pregnant, and it's not going to work out with the guy, so she ends up giving up this baby for adoption. The existence of her daughter was not publicly known until 1993, when a roommate from her art school days in the 60s sold the story of the adoption to a tabloid, which is real nice. Joni herself said in 1998, I was dirt poor. An unhappy mother does not raise a happy child. It was difficult parting with the child, but I had to let her go. They were reunited in 1997. Trey, acoustic and voice, stripped back as it should be.
Oh, yeah.
On a song like this, I thought it was pretty good. The fact that it's deeply personal, and once you know what it's about, I think it heightens the song, for me at least.
Oh, definitely loved the melody here. So sweet, and just some really kind of gut-wrenching lines at some point here. Very thoughtful lines. I like child with the child's pretending. Joni was a young woman herself whenever she...
Yeah, exactly.
I like the fact she referred to her as a child, and now I have this child coming into the world. My man up and ditched me. My circumstances aren't great. So she said that even in the song that she's sorry, but at the end of the day, she's not ashamed of what she's doing, because she knows deep down this is going to be the best situation for her child.
Right.
I'm glad to read they were reunited in the late 90s.
Yeah. So
that's kind of a cool little happy ending to the story there. But just a lovely song here. And already we're kind of going different angles to the blue theme, and then we're going to go to track number 4, as we were talking earlier about Carey Raditz, a song named after him, Carey. Joni Mitchell, it's C-A-R-E-Y. His real name's just C-A-R-Y.
Yeah, she misspelled it. Not intentionally, she said, but this was released as a single, only went to number 93. This one features Stephen Stills on bass and acoustic guitar. She did write the first version of Carey in Crete for Carey's 24th birthday. After about 2 months, she and Carey traveled to Athens together. But then she flew on to Paris alone, where she wrote California, which we'll get to eventually, referencing Carey as a red rogue. And on returning to the U.S., completed Carey together with other songs for the Blue album. And this is where the dulcimer comes into play. She said she carried it around because it was smaller and easier than the guitar. And so she wrote as the first draft of this, as I mentioned, for Carey and played it for him. She said, I don't even recall what he thought of it, but that he could be a kind of a harsh guy, which she kind of talks about in the lyrics. So I was thinking, if you're singing this,
exactly.
I don't really know what he's going to think of this either, but I thought it was a pretty good tune.
No, I definitely did as well. I like the fact too, she's talking, I think we've all been there where we like to check out, whether it be on vacation or something else, and we know, okay, I got to get back to real life. I'm missing my clean white linens and the French cologne, as she mentioned there at the start, and then as the song progresses, she kind of mentions that she's gotten used to that in a sense. So cool tune there for sure, but it ain't nothing compared to this next song, man. Ooh, the title track, ending song of side A here, Blue, maybe the greatest song ever on depression, man. And I listen to a lot of depressing music, but wow, this song literally gave me goosebumps. My favorite tune on the record by far, just the way she was able to really kind of get to the heart of feeling down, and she wrote a song literally to Blue, her depression.
I can't really pump it up. I didn't like it as much as you. Now you're making me think I gotta go back and listen to this thing over and over. Very powerful vocal though, which goes right along with what you were talking about there, and this is more the piano one, so we get the little switch into
that's
that.
right. And I like the fact she just noted she wants the blue to either anchor her or let her sail away. She notes all the things that people try to do to kind of end the depression, whether it be booze or grass or whatever the case may be. I especially like the line, everybody's saying that hell's the hippest way to go. Well, I don't think so, but I'm gonna take a look around it though. Blue, I love you. Just the way she progresses the song, like addressing the blue, just fantastic, man. Definitely go check this one out.
Now we're going to start off side 2 with California, and it ends up being the second single.
That's right.
After Carey. She writes it while she's in France, and she's writing it almost as a lament that I am missing my home in California. The lyrics tell of her time in France, a trip she took to Spain, an excursion to a Greek island, as we well know, where she met Carey on Crete. At the end of each story, in each location, she expresses her desire to be back in California. You have James Taylor's twitchy guitar. One of my favorites on here.
Really, yeah. I didn't like it as much as you, but still a very good track, and I like the callbacks, as you mentioned, to Carey there. That aided with just kind of her ode to her state, man, and Taylor's guitar was pretty darn cool. And that'll keep us rocking. Now we're going to This Flight Tonight, which is an interesting. She's up now in a plane. Yeah. And she doesn't want to be there, but you know what? When you're up in the air and you ain't the pilot, you just gotta
She
stay
wishes
there.
she's having regret, right, for leaving the guy. Well, I wish I wouldn't have done it. Pretty good for me. One of my actual favorites on here. Interesting that the Scottish hard rock band Nazareth covers this song.
That's right.
You wouldn't think Nazareth covering a Joni song, especially a Joni song of this album, but it worked out for him. But yeah, I liked... just the realness on this whole album. But how many of us have walked away from something, whether it's a person or a job, and then immediately, almost after you do it, you have that regret. Because you're like, oh no, what did I do? And usually the next day you're like, oh no, I did the right thing. But she's playing that out as she's in a place where she can do nothing about it, right? This is the 70s. There's no phones in the planes. Like, you just got to live with it. So
well, and I like the fact too, like in My Old Man, the guy left her, whereas here she's leaving the guy. So I thought that was cool. And just a little trivia note, as you were talking about the Nazareth version, Hart actually got kind of the opening little riff for Barracuda off of Nazareth's version. Yeah. So that's just a little trivia note you can.
And a good guitar even on this one, on Joni's version.
So just a cool little backstory on this track, and we only have 3 songs left already.
Yeah, it takes us to River, which is a Christmas folk song, although it really doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. It's just set in that time, but it's her second most covered song. I don't think I've ever heard this song.
No, meaning it had kind of the jingle bells.
It did, yeah. They put that in there a little bit. I really, really like this song. The song is about the recent breakup of a romantic relationship, with the singer longing to escape her emotional bonds as they're painful to her. It's probably about her time with Graham Nash. She made him sad, Trey, as she left him, and admits she can be selfish. She wants a river to escape to an easier life. I thought this was just a great performance.
Well, and it's interesting too, because what do you normally associate Christmas with? The happiness, the
Yeah.
good times, but that's not that way for everybody. And I think that that's a good way to show how the blue can get you even in
Definitely.
the happiest of times, so to speak. And I wonder if there was a little double entendre here, because she notes, "I'm so hard to handle. I'm selfish and I'm sad. Now I've gone and lost the best baby that I ever had." I don't know if that has to do with her actual baby or
From
whatnot.
back in My Little Green,
You know, but who knows? But I thought this, like you, I thought this was a great song, and one of her best vocal performances,
Yes.
especially in the chorus. Hitting those high notes. We haven't mentioned, but Joni has a very distinct voice.
She does. It takes me a while to get used to.
Yeah, because it's very shrill. Not in a bad. I mean, I know whenever that word's brought up, it's usually,
It's just unique. That's gonna take us to the next to the last song already. A Case of You. Once again, probably about Graham Nash and specifically her breakup, accompanied by James Taylor on the acoustic. She's basically talking about an inescapable love, one she knows that could be wrong for her, but now is her soul. And I think. Once again, I'll say a lot of us have been in relationships that where deep down in the mind, you're like, this is not a good idea, but your heart and you're just so attached to him, you're like, nah, it's going to be fine. And you kind of fight that inner battle, and that's kind of what I think she's writing about.
Yeah, this is the only one I was vaguely familiar with. I think we played this on a live stream once or twice, but to dive into it, looking at the lyrics was a treat, man. One of the best set of lyrics on this entire record. She says, "I remember that time you told me, you said, love is touching souls. Surely you touch mine, because part of you pours out of me in these lines from time to time." Woo! Oh, just killer stuff here. And I like the idea too. It was very, very poetic. The fact that she could drink a case of this guy and still be able to be on her feet makes me think maybe this guy is a bit poisonous in a sense, yet he still doesn't affect her, yet she can't stop from going back to it. A great idea, great song, really loved it. And that's already going to take us to a closer, a slower kind of piano ballad track.
The last time I saw Richard, probably about her marriage to Chuck Mitchell. I guess she doesn't want to put Chuck in. There's a little story behind that I won't go into, but kind of a microcosm for the album itself. It's the ups and downs of love, the optimism, the cynicism. A very good way thematically to end this album.
Because here, Richard, he's very kind of harsh on love. He's in a superficial marriage and whatnot, whereas Joni, she's kind of that romantic. She, even though she's maybe been burned, she still has that hope for love, and at the end, she's just deciding, you know what, if everybody else is so pessimistic, just leave me alone in this dark cafe here. And the final line has, I think, just perfectly wraps up the record. Only a phase, these dark cafe days. And maybe this blue season will only be a phase.
Maybe it will.
Here in this dark cafe, and brighter days ahead. But lovely way to end this record out.
And I think the moral of the story is this, boys and girls: if you were dating Joni Mitchell or married to her in the '60s or early '70s and it didn't work out, then you were going to get a song or two.
You're going to get a fire song.
That's what happens when you date someone who's an outstanding lyricist. So that was just kind of the moral part of what I took out of this. But that's going to take us to our favorite track. I know one of yours is going to be, by the way you talked about it.
Definitely Blue for me.
Yeah, California, This Flight Tonight, and River for me. They go back to back to back on side 2.
Interesting, because I enjoyed the first side a little bit more, I think, than the second side. So that I'm always curious how we think on that.
Yeah, I am too.
But yeah, I got to go Blue. Got to go A Case of You, and also throw some love to Little Green for how heartfelt it was, and just cool arrangements all the way around. Now we're gonna go to our overall score of the record. Man, this was a heavy hitter. Haven't tackled a record this acclaimed in a minute or two here at the channel.
A little bit.
But for me, man, I really just what can you say about this record that we haven't already said? Amazing lyricism, beautiful arrangements, great instrumentation, great guest spots by James Taylor in particular on the guitar. Very heartfelt and chilling thoughts on various aspects of relationships here. I didn't think there was a weak song on this.
Agreed.
10 tracks, very concise. 35 minutes or so flies by, man. Haven't enjoyed a record like this in a minute, so I'm gonna be at a 9 out of 10 for me.
Well, you're going right along with everyone else. I enjoyed it as well. Maybe not quite as much as you, but you got to listen to these oftentimes a lot to really dig into it. I love lyrics, still love the album. I'm at an 8.5 on this one.
Absolute heat, man. Want to give a shout out to our patron Osmond again, man.
Yeah, man.
Really appreciate.
Yes, they have fantastic stuff, man.
Joni, now we got that, and Court and Spark. She's got a great body of work that I'm looking forward to diving more into. But let us know your thoughts on Blue down in the comments below, y'all. Thanks again, as always, Dad, for the research. And until next time, thanks for watching, happy listening, and we will see ya.